Hey everybody, it's Thursday night, and that means it is time for Shop Talk with Josh and Alan from Haven Comics in Madison, Alabama. So stick around. It's still me. As you can see, I've got Moon Knight with me here, and I got Storm Shadow, and Timber, and Snake Eyes. Hard to go wrong. I'm being watched over by some very good people. Speaking of very good people, let's go ahead and bring Alan on. How you doing, Alan?
I am good. What is going on?
Man, it is a week. You know how sometimes you start off with, I got a lot to do, and then somebody throws some more on there, and you're like, well, all right, I can add that too. And then the universe conspires against you, and they throw more on that, and then more on that, more on that, and then they throw emergencies on top of all that. That's kind of where I am this week.
That sounds like having kids.
Without the benefit of my old age, yes.
Yep. Okay, so I'm really glad that our thumbnail for the week is from G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle, because there is something that has been bothering me for like 2 days now.
Yeah.
So I was watching this top 5 video on YouTube on a channel called Nuke's Top 5. Love Nuke.
Okay.
He puts out amazing content. Halfway through one of the top 5s, I don't remember which one it was, he said something, and I was like, no, that's automatic. That's unwritten rule. That's part of the things that we just automatically know in life. Like, you don't try to play with an angry rattlesnake. You don't try to hug a honey badger. You don't try to take a pacifier from a sleeping toddler.
Yeah, those are all bad things. You don't do that.
And what he said just sent me next level, and I cannot believe that I feel like I need to tell people this, but people, you never buy an Ouija board at a yard sale. It's going to end badly.
Oh, Lord, do not buy a Ouija board at a yard sale.
No, it was like
strictly unopened Ouija boards from Toys R Us or someplace. Yeah, no, never at a yard sale. Something bad has already happened with that Ouija board. Look, the bad juju is already in there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was awful. I mean, literally, I go into those videos very skeptical. I want to try to pick apart how they faked it. But as soon as I heard that the Ouija board was bought at a yard sale, I was like, no, this crap's real. Everything's happening now. It's my fault.
Yeah,
I can't pick this apart.
No, there's no hope for that.
I mean, did the entire scenario go something like, oh, hey, baby, there's a 50-year-old satanic death box for $2. Oh, well, shit, let's buy it.
What a deal.
Oh, I got to have that. Snatch it before somebody else does.
Hey, go, before we get into the Keith Bush says he bought one at Unclaimed Baggage. He went all the way to Scottsboro to buy a used one.
You got to be careful over in Scottsboro because, I mean, you start going out into the country, you got some chances of bringing home some angry Indian spirits, and those are the ones that don't play.
Well, you're not wrong. While we're looking at comments, let's see who all we got here. We got, leading things off, we have Tots. Hey, you guys, his traditional Goonies greeting, since we are a Goonies-friendly show. Erin is here. What's up? How you doing? She's giving Tots grief. Wow, you've got some green screen going on. That's awesome. Well played. Hey, Kyle is here. Rock on. How you doing,
Kyle?
Nick is here for the manga. Nick, since that's the case, have I got something for you? Is this a valuable book? No. Is this an awesome book? Probably not. Is it manga? I think it qualifies. It is the 5th anniversary collector's edition of Speed Racer with the button. Go Speed, go! So there you go, Nick. You got some manga. And Alan's not even the one holding it. It's me. So there you go. Got your manga in there for you, Nick.
We are definitely going to convert you over. I've got some of those older Speed Racer comics. I believe they're from the mid to late 70s at home. But I also got a couple of Racer X ones. And, you know, they're worth absolutely nothing, but it's one of those things you just can't help but love. Late 70s, early 80s, somewhere right around there, I think is when they might have come out.
That sounds right. Let's see who else we got. We got Chris. What's happening, Chris? Hope Texas is doing all right by you. Aaron is asking Keith if perhaps he got a creepy doll at the same time as he got his Ouija board at Unclaimed Baggage, because they might be a set. And
No,
they just might.
My mother, years ago, before she passed away, she bought our daughter a Raggedy Ann doll, and it was right at about the same time that Annabelle the movie come out.
Yep.
And I'm like, Mom, I've seen enough horror movies. We cannot be doing this.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Now, Nick says, just don't come out of a rhino, Alan. And I have to say, you're laughing because you know that moment as well as I know that moment. Y'all, if y'all haven't seen it, I'm assuming it's still up there on Two Brothers channel if you scroll back far enough. Nick got a green screen, and he was playing with that green screen one night, and he had on a green shirt, if I remember. But he reenacted the scene from Ace Ventura 2. Where he's inside the surveillance rhinoceros, and it gets so hot because the AC broke and he has to crawl out through the one available exit. And the people see it, think that the rhino is giving birth. That was one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen on the internet. I laughed so hard. I laughed so hard at that for so long. Oh my God, that was funny.
Hey, so let's do something kind of stupid and off the wall. I just thought of it.
Hey, we specialize in that.
I'm going to post the link for the YouTube show on Twitter, and then I'm going to tag like several people in it and just say, hey, we're live if anyone wants to come on. So I'm thinking like Mark London from Mad Cave Studios, anybody from AWA, anybody you can think of?
Oh, what the heck? Go for it. That
Let's
would
see
be
what happens.
Impromptu appearances and interviews. We'll see who is crazy enough to go for such a thing.
Yeah, we'll see if anybody answers.
While you're doing that, you want me to show off some of the stuff I managed to pick up this week?
Do it. And I'm afraid I'm going to start spending money, but do it.
Just a little bit. All right. I am going to go into, let's see, this layout. There we go. So we can still see Alan as he toys with. I showed you Speed Racer already. And it's cool because the pin, you don't find those a lot. And that's pretty cool. We dig that. Is it safe? Mike, no. I would say probably, I wouldn't say it's safe. For anybody who's got a few gaps in their G.I. Joe collection, I picked up a few issues. We got G.I. Joe number 63, one of my favorite covers ever. With them walking into the minefield, but the signs pointing the wrong way and down. So you know the danger they're in, but they don't. God, that's a great cover.
Is that 63?
Yeah. The Mike Zett cover. I got him to sign that when he was at the expo. We got number 74. And we got number 78, which is one of those great covers. Man, you want to be friends with Roadblock. You do not want to make Roadblock angry.
I've got all those.
Oh, yeah. This tiny little Captain America book from when Captain America was, if people wanted him to be president. I'm going to just go on the record right now and say I would vote for Cap. So, yeah, I would do that. We got a Spider-Man story that Nick Ellis has probably not read. There are not many of those. Marvel Superheroes number 14. The thing is, this is mostly reprints, but this has a new story in it that is really hard to find because it's only here. It's not anywhere else. So there is new material in here, but people don't think that they always associate this with strictly reprints, and it's not strictly reprints. This is a book nobody wants. I can't think of a single person who would want this piece of garbage.
Yeah, I would have no idea who would want that. Please hold it up closer to the camera. She is, oh, I love that art. That is beautiful.
That cover right there is awesome, man.
I don't want it. I need it. It's going to find a good home this weekend.
Yeah, as well it should. We got a little 90s awesomeness with Ghost Rider number 2. You always see Ghost Rider number 1. You never see Ghost Rider number 2. We got it. Here it is. Now, we had this one graded up on the wall for a while, but it is, we sold it, and we happened to find another copy. Now, this is beat up. This is a well-loved reader copy, but it is Tales to Astonish number 39.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Got the giant scarlet beetle telling people, hey, I'm going to come and eat your family. Now, I love this book, and I mostly got this just because I hadn't read it in a long time, and I don't want to dig through my boxes to find it. But this is a phenomenal book. New Warriors number 1, first print. Natch. All right, this, for anybody who missed it. Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, the guys who did the Long Halloween story at DC, they came to Marvel and they did quite a few books featuring superheroes where they did the superhero name and then a color that's associated with that. Hulk gray, Spider-Man blue, Daredevil yellow, Captain America white. This is the entire run, all the issues, one set. So you get issues 1 through 5 in a single set. And we have the whole thing. We just lost Tim Sale recently. That was most unfortunate. But true story. This, Damage Control, 1 through 4. This was, I thought at the time, a terrible book. I'm going to reread it and see if I think any more highly of it now than I thought of it then. They've been introduced into the MCU. And they seem to have a role there, so we're going to see what's going on with that.
I swear I think Acts of Vengeance ran for about 11 and a half years.
Yes. Check that out. Nice. Guru the Wanderer, number 1. Not a high-dollar book. You just don't find them very often. Those number 1s are sneaky. And we got one. And also, just one of the cooler covers from the Incredible Hulk run, number 267, Wrong End of the Rainbow. That's just a cool cover.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no pot of gold there, just the Hulk. Oops. Not what you want.
I know someone that would like that if we could get in. I could probably get in touch with him. One Mr. Big Nosh.
Oh, you think Nosh would go for that?
I think Nosh would like that. What you think, Nick? You still on? Or did you dip out again?
Now, I think I showed these off last week. Pretty sure that I did. But my personal copies arrived last week. The copies for the store arrived this week. And we got Wraith of God, number 1 from a Kickstarter that we backed. There's the other cover, which I love. The old 70s monster type cover. I mean, look at that.
Those are great looking covers. Both of them are great covers.
But yeah, we backed this Kickstarter, and that's a fun one. The Wraith of God character looks like the original Ghost Rider from back in the day, except black instead of white. But the character himself is kind of a cross between Mysterio and the Punisher, with a little bit of Dr. Fate thrown in. Just a smidge. Is an interesting character.
He's talking about me.
That's all I got. That's all I got is Luscious Mane. That's my calling card. Those books are super duper. Thank you for reminding me of that. Never gonna let me forget that one. Yeah, a Gru number 1. Yes, I'm very happy. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. Kyle said he'll jump on because he's crazy.
But yeah, so I literally tagged Todd McFarlane, and the only reason why I did it was because he actually posted something like 2 minutes before me. So if Todd McFarlane or Jim Lee, because I tagged both of them, if either one of them respond, I will fall out of this chair.
I might fall out of the chair too. That would be an interesting conversation. Just out of nowhere, these two dudes show up. and like, hey, what's happening, fellas?
Yeah, what's going on?
We're just talking stuff. That would change the conversation pretty significantly, I think. Uh, uh, but yeah, that would be pretty impressive. Now, you had a background going on behind you earlier. We got to get those boys some more followers. Yeah, Todd and Jim, they're hurting.
Yeah.
They're hurting for followers. We got to pump them up. Those are rookie numbers. Yeah, we got to get them going. Um, have you read anything cool the past week or two?
What did I read last week? I mean, I don't like that background. Let's see what this one. Yeah, this one's
That's
much
better.
better. That's much better. Believe it or not, I actually have my pull list pulled up on League of Comic Geeks on the other screen, and because I'm one of those weird ones. I don't go on New Comic Book Day. I go on Fridays. It just works better with my schedule.
Friday used to be New Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
And then it became Thursdays, and then it became Friday at the Wednesday overtime. Hey, Southern Comic Geek is in the house.
What's
What's
up?
happening, Southern? And comics, Ryan says he didn't mean we need to pump up Todd and Jim. He said these boys, us, we need more followers. He is not wrong. We need more followers, and if they would come on, that would certainly help with that.
Mm-hmm. And then the more followers we get, hey, maybe in a few weeks we can rehash conversations and I can complain about stupid people buying Ouija boards at yard sales again. It'll be new material. They wouldn't have known it.
Just like that Ultimate Fallout 4 acetate cover.
Oh, my God.
Nick seems like Nick has had something to say about that.
The only thing that I've really read since last week was DC War of the Undead Gods #1. I thought that was really good. And
you like that?
yeah, I really like Deceased. I mean, I thought that was a really good storyline. Now this week, I mean, I'm chomping at the bit to get my hands on Daredevil #2. Oh yeah. I resemble that remark. Zdarsky did an amazing job with Daredevil #1 and
yep.
Batman 126. If y'all have not read Batman 126 yet,
that's the second book of Zdarsky's run.
Yeah, that's
Batman.
The second book on his run, but that's exactly what I was expecting out of him. I mean, that last page, it was like, no, how dare you think you can end it like this? You don't do this to me. If you
who do you think you are? I have to wait a month.
Yeah, I mean, who do you think? No, it don't work that way, brother.
Maybe we should just have Chip Zdarsky come on here.
You know what? Let me go back on YouTube and I'll see if
we can just tell Chip Zdarsky to his face, sir, you can't do that to me. While you're hunting him down, did you see the post that Jeremy Long posted on the Expo page a couple hours ago?
No, huh? I was.
He said something about Star Trek and the Expo, and then he said, and I believe he's quoting the guy from Pensacon, who he says when he brings in big guests, he said, y'all ain't ready.
You don't think he'd bring in the man himself, do you?
Gene Roddenberry's dead. I don't think so.
Well, I'm thinking more along the lines of Captain Kirk.
Oh, if you're talking about the man, that would have to be Captain Picard.
No, it will always be Bones.
Okay, fair. Fair. I'll give you Bones. Yeah, that would be awesome. But I don't know, man. That was a heck of a lure to throw in the water. Everybody's biting. That would be awesome. I mean, truthfully, it's a crime not to have the Star Trek crew, any of them, come to Huntsville. This is a nerd space-focused town, and I know we had them here in '97 for a local convention, but they brought in a bunch of the original Star Trek cast. I know Scotty was here. I think Kirk was here. Possibly Uhura. I know Scotty was here. I don't remember if that was for Constellation or not. Do we have any old school Constellation guys in the chat? Because that would be awesome. Do you have a spaceship landing over there? What is that?
That was my notifications. So I always get these off-the-wall notifications and crank them up as loud as I can. Not because I enjoy them or I think they're cool, but because it just flat out aggravates my wife, and I love doing that.
Well, fair enough.
So
yeah, Keith worked that show. Do you remember who all was there, Keith? Yes, she was supposed to be here in 2020. We were supposed to have a couple of next gen folks here in 2020, but COVID happened, and that just didn't work out. But hopefully, because at the show he's had Power Rangers year after year after year. He's had quite a few Power Rangers come through the show. It would be awesome, awesome, awesome if we could get some Star Trek folks coming through. Uh, that would make me quite happy. If you had a Star Trek guest, assuming that they're still alive, that you could bring on and you could meet and sit down and talk to for an hour, who would that be, Alan?
I would probably have to go with either Scotty or Bones. It would be one or the other. I think Scotty would just be hysterical to talk to, and Bone. I don't know, for some reason I feel like those two would have the best stories. Of what life was like on the set. The things that they got into. I've always felt that those two were the most mischievous ones out of the crew.
That makes complete sense. Yeah, I like that. I would love to meet Picard or Janeway. Either one. I would love to sit down and talk with them.
See, I never really got into Next Generation. I don't know. I
will say Next Generation was hard. If you go back and you watch it now and you start with the first episode, you're like, what is this show? This makes no sense. The first couple episodes are tough. It took them a little time to find their bearing. But once they did, boy, that was hopping. That was awesome. And then Voyager, I never watched until recently because I was like, what is this? This sounds awful. I loved Voyager. I thought Voyager was brilliant. And then there's Deep Space Nine. Don't even get me started.
Yeah, I was about to say, I did try watching Deep Space Nine. I got like halfway through an episode, and it was like, I don't get it. And
I love Deep Space Nine. That's my favorite one of the bunch.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I started like halfway through. I think it was like on, and I just flipped it on.
Oh, you can't do that. Deep Space Nine is different because it's more campaign focused, long story arc focused than it is episodic. Like the original Star Trek was episodic. It was Voyages of the Starship Enterprise, here we are today. And then the next one, somewhere totally different. It didn't matter what happened the last episode. Doesn't matter what happens the next one. But Deep Space Nine is a story from beginning to end, and it is amazing.
Now, Gene Roddenberry did another show, and I want to say that it was probably late 80s, maybe early 90s, and this is just me guessing. We could probably Google it, and I'd be way off. But it was he did a show called War of the Worlds, and it was based off of the movie /
the radio show.
Yeah, radio show, and I want to say it might have been on for a season or two, and it had he's been in tons of stuff, and he played the mechanic in Eureka. I love Eureka, and now I'm mad at myself because I cannot think of his name.
I didn't watch Eureka. I don't know.
You never watched Eureka?
I think I saw part of the first episode, but that was all I saw.
Oh, you never watched Eureka?
I did not.
Eureka is amazing. I mean, I was like ready to write my congressman and mad at the world and ready to start setting stuff on fire when Sci-Fi canceled it just so they could afford to make Sharknado 2. Pissed me off so bad I couldn't see straight.
You're invested pretty heavily in that.
Dude, that is one of the best shows you will ever watch. I promise you, if you watch all of it, you'll love it.
I was moving some stuff around to totally change the subject because I just caught this out of the corner of my eye. I was moving some stuff around the other day, and I was like, what is this? And then I found a piece that I can't believe I forgot about it because I hadn't got a frame for it yet. But I have a letter that came with it, and I'm going to read this to you. You can see, here you go. There's your letter.
Mm-hmm.
So this says November 12th, 1987.
Good year.
So a little while back. November 12th, 1987. Addressed to somebody named Mike Miller in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And it says, Mike, please, please, please forgive the unreasonable delay in getting your original artwork out to you. The coloring of the Shadow original was done within a week of our return from the Chicago show, but I couldn't for the life of me get Mike to do your sketch. Talk about the king of procrastinators. Finally, yesterday I convinced him to take time and do it. He felt pretty bad, so he did you a double. The full figure with the profile in back. I colored it yesterday morning and this morning so I could send it right away. I hope you're happy with the results. The balance you owe is $15 for the coloring of Shadow and $10 for the coloring on Green Arrow. There's a billing invoice enclosed. Again, thank you for your infinite patience. Lorene Haynes, assistant to Mike Grell at Creative Fire Studio. Now, I'm going to show you this piece that this poor man had to wait for so long for after the Chicago show in 1987 that I now have. Gonna
Oh, that is freaking awesome.
go to this
I
layout.
love that.
Look at that. How amazing is that?
So how did you end up with that? I need to know the full story.
Oh boy, full story. I had a guy was trying to raise some capital. He needed some money, and he started to sell some things off. And I was gonna buy his. He had a Sideshow collectible statue that I never had a Sideshow collectible statue, but I liked it, and I thought, well, that'd be cool. I'd like to have that, so I bought it from him. And then he messaged me, and he's like, look, I'm trying to disassemble this thing and put it back in the box so I can ship it to you, but it won't disassemble. It's been together so long that these pieces are just stuck. This is how it is. And I'm like, well, okay, that sucks. And he says, look, I've got these other things I'll send you if one of those you think is the same value as what you paid for the statue. I'm so sorry. And he had this and a couple other things. And I was like, I would rather have that than the statue any day. I don't have to dust this.
Yep.
So yeah, I got this sketch from Mike Grell, 1987. And when the next time he comes to the expo, or if I can get him at Haven, and I think I can get him at Haven, the next time that he comes to town, I'm going to show him that with that letter and see what he has to say, because that's amazing. Isn't that cool? And if you look at it, I mean, it's hand colored. There was no computer doing that in 1987.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the coolest thing about it. Is that the older art like that is, it's so much better than some of the stuff we see now.
Okay, Keith Bush came back and told us who all was at the Huntsville show back in the day. So Shatner, Nimoy, Doohan, Koenig, Kelly, Takai, Nichols. Wow, that's pretty much the whole crew.
Yeah.
That's all of them. That's.
You don't think he's getting Wesley Wheaton, do you?
Will Wheaton?
Yeah, Wesley Crusher, Will Wheaton.
You know, he would actually be an awesome guest to have.
You know, if we can get him in person at the expo, I'm pretty sure I could talk him coming on to our little show one Thursday night.
Oh, I have no doubt. He's a super cool dude. But no, that's awesome. That's completely cool.
And like ever so often, I just send.
Keith has thoughts on that. Please no.
Oh, Keith, why? Who else? Oh, I did tag Chip Zdarsky. I was like, "Hey, you busy?" So I hadn't heard anything back.
Did you tell him we were talking about him? You're like,
Yeah,
hey, are your ears burning? Because we're talking about you.
I was like, "Hey, you busy? You want to come on and talk Batman and Daredevil?" So I haven't heard anything back.
Well, that just tells me what I need to know about him.
But you know what?
He's not insane.
It's not going to stop me from buying Daredevil #2 tomorrow.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
And it's definitely not going to stop me from buying Batman 127 because the way he ended 126 was just wrong. I got to know more.
I think they call that a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I think they call that wrong.
Why you do this to me?
Why you do this to me?
So we got a topic to talk about. I think we both had a chance. For anybody who does not know, um, or is just not paying too much attention to what's going on, because it does feel like there's a lot of content being cranked out. Um, the first episode of She-Hulk aired on Disney Plus yesterday. Uh, I Let's talk about our attitudes about She-Hulk going into this, right? What is your perception of the character from the first time you ever saw her? All that jazz. What do you think about She-Hulk?
So She-Hulk, going into it, to me, She-Hulk should be a little campy. Some of that's based off the sensational She-Hulk, some of the stuff that they did there. I felt like like I said, the character should be a little campy, should be reluctant, being a superhero and everything. I think they did a really good job with stuff like that.
Well, we're not talking about that yet. We're just talking about your initial, before the show. What do you think about She-Hulk?
I think she was perfectly drawn, and that was about it. I never really got into those comics. I mean, I read a little bit back in the day, but it was more of it's really hard to base anything when you only read it in the 90s or you read the 90s version of stuff. It's really hard to see anything else beyond that. And, 90s in comic books were I'm not saying it was a good time or a bad time, but it was definitely a unique time in comic history with some of the content that they were putting out.
You're not wrong there. My introduction to She-Hulk started before that. I saw her the cover for Savage She-Hulk #1. I remember seeing that. I didn't read it. It wasn't like, oh, I got to grab that and read it. But John Byrne's run on Fantastic Four, where she replaced the Thing for a long time as the Muscle.
Mm-hmm.
I loved her in the Fantastic Four. I thought she was brilliant. So then he goes, all right, well, I'm leaving Fantastic Four, and I'm going to start a book. I'm going to do a She-Hulk comic. And I don't know if it's because I didn't get it. I don't know if it's because they actually were objectively bad or what. The art was beautiful, but I wasn't ready for the fourth wall breaking, nothing but a long-running joke comic series featuring this character I had just been reading in Fantastic Four who was so cool.
Yeah.
So I looked at him and I'm like, the art's gorgeous, but who wants this? I didn't get it. I didn't like it. I think I was the target audience for it, but I didn't care for it. And it sounds like you were kind of in the same boat.
See, my big thing, and it's always been this way with comics, and I mean, honestly, you can actually testify to this because you know what I read. There are certain things that I like about Marvel, but I'm a little more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan. And out of all of it, I'm actually a little more of an independent fan than I am of the bigger guys. Like, I love AWA. Mad Cave has got some great stuff. Vault, Opus. I mean, I like some of those small. Oh crap! Who was it that was putting out the Elric series that's been coming out the past couple of years? I cannot think of that.
If you hadn't asked me, I could have told you.
Let me tell you what. If y'all have not read Elric, The Dreaming City, fantastic read. Better than anything Marvel's doing. Period. End of discussion. You can't argue with me on this one.
They get to argue.
Yeah, well, we can, but you're still wrong. The Opus with a Death Dealer, they're doing a fantastic job with Death Dealer. I think it's what Conan could have been, but I always gravitated. I don't know. I read Marvel. They weren't my biggest thing. And if Nick's still on here, I mean, he'll gladly scream this to the top of his lungs from now until Kingdom Come. Marvel started going downhill with Spider-Man with the Clone Saga. It's never truly been the same. There's been some good stuff since then. I think that the best thing that Marvel's done with Spider-Man was the miniseries Renew Your Vows. I thought it was great. But then, like all other miniseries, they try to push it off into something else, and it turns to trash quick. So I was literally more of a DC fan. As weird as it sounds, I thought the characters were a lot more relatable in DC. I mean, who couldn't imagine being a kid growing up hell-bent on revenge because your parents were murdered? That, to me, that's more relatable than Peter Parker trying to get to chemistry class in advanced nuclear physics or some crap, while fighting Sandman.
You have aspirations to be a millionaire, do you? Or billionaire, whatever he is.
I want to look down on millionaires. I mean, I want to look at them and treat them as peasants. I want Elon Musk money.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know what? If you're going to dream big.
All right. So going into it, I think we both agree the sensational She-Hulk comic back in the day, gorgeous art, and unreadable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember the Gray Gargoyle has an appearance in there, and I'm like, this is going to be a good... What is this garbage? I mean, it was terrible.
Yep.
So going into the She-Hulk show, I was pretty ambivalent. I'm like, you know what? I don't really have a dog in this fight because I don't care about She-Hulk. After the Fantastic Four run, I haven't seen her used well anywhere, right?
Yep.
So... I go into the show thinking, we'll see what happens. I'll be darned if I didn't enjoy the heck out of it.
My only downside that I had on the show, this is my only complaint, and this could actually be chalked up as a petty complaint. I thought the CGI for Hulk was great, but the CGI for She-Hulk just seemed to be lacking. It's almost like they made her a little too soft and a little too feminine. It come across as a little bit cartoonish to me. It still looked good, but I think that the CGI for her could have been better. But other than that, I really enjoyed it.
I'm not gonna lie. I think the CGI on that show is a little bit subpar where I want it to be, because they've spoiled me with all these giant movie budgets, right?
Yep.
They don't have the movie budget for this TV show. If you had told me, and if I had looked at this CGI 10, 15, 20 years ago and said I was going to be disappointed in it, I would have laughed myself out of the building, right? Because it's good. It's still better than DC CGI.
Yeah, it's just not what we're used to, and I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Now, for people that have not watched it, that have no plans on watching it, and Josh will know, and those of you that watch it are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You've got to watch this 36-minute episode just for the Captain America discussion at the beginning and at the very end.
The Captain America discussion is funny. There's no two ways about it.
Great.
That was funny. Especially if you have any idea where it's going before it gets there. It's like, all right, that got me. All right, Nick.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, Nick,
have you watched it? Is that what you're telling me? And you just thought it was all right?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the greatest. It was definitely watchable. There was some enjoyable moments in it. It's not going to be like Obi-Wan. I'm not going to be rushing home from work so I can watch it. It's definitely not going to be another. I'm like on this huge Daredevil kick right now with the TV show too. It's not going to be anything like that. It's not going to be rush right home to watch it, but I think it's definitely watchable.
All right, let's talk about that for a second. If I understand correctly, you are just today, watching the Daredevil show from Netflix, and you have not seen it before.
So the quick backstory is, Nick, I hate you. That's wrong. That's false. Did you not watch the final battle in Obi-Wan? So
Nick hates Obi-Wan just because he hates the way that the Grand Inquisitors were depicted.
But the Grand Inquisitors weren't the stars of the show. Obi-Wan was. And the show was about Obi-Wan's return to the faith. And not the Grand Inquisitor looking like a 40-something-year-old aging.
Well, and the third sister, too. He's got a hate on for the way that they're depicted.
Yeah, the third sister, I don't know the actress's name. I thought she did
somebody.
Yeah, I thought she did a fantastic job with what she was given. but what she was given was kind of trash. I mean, the writers failed those characters in that aspect.
I kind of agree. I don't think it was that bad. Um, but I do think that I thought that show was brilliant, and I think if they don't do something with that kid as Leia, um, they are out of their minds because she was absolutely brilliant.
Yep. Yep.
Brilliant.
But as far as She-Hulk was concerned, yeah, definitely watch it. Now back to the whole Daredevil thing. We live in this funky little devil's triangle where we do not have high-speed internet. So it has never been worth me paying for streaming services. And there are some days that I can literally, here's a really good example. I was watching She-Hulk earlier today, and I actually had to get up out of the recliner with my phone and walk to the kitchen so I could continue getting a good signal. And the truly sad thing about it is I live 5 minutes from Highway 72. I live in Tony.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, we just live in this funky little triangle where nobody ran their lines. Nobody cared about any of us getting high-speed internet. So with Disney,
Nate Saint just jumped on, so I'm showing him some cool stuff.
oh, yeah, no, show them away. So with Disney Plus releasing Daredevil and all the Netflix series, we do actually pay for that one because there was like several things on there we wanted to see, and plus it was the whole deal. We got it for free with Verizon, so it's kind of bundled all in together. So we just kept it. And so yeah, I'm actually on episode 6 of the first season. So, and I don't get to, the way my schedule kind of works out between work and getting the bug back and forth to dance class and everything else, I only get to watch like 2, maybe 3 episodes a week. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to take me a while to get through it, but I mean, I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, Nate, that ash can is extremely cool. It's tiny. It's tiny, tiny, but it's very cool. It's the first time I've ever seen one, and I was like, I'm picking that up. So I did. I think I showed off the new book I got last week, but I love it so much I'm going to show it off again this week.
Todd McFarlane still hasn't responded.
What?
He hasn't responded.
That's slacker.
I know. Neither is Chip Zdarsky or Jim Lee.
These people just don't love us.
No, they don't.
All right, here we go. Nate, in case you weren't on last week, I picked this up, and as I had to go to the chiropractor today, and I walked in, and there's a dude sitting there wearing the T-shirt of this cover, and I'm like, that's going to be my friend. So we sat and talked while we waited. But I finally got the Silver Surfer #4.
That's going to be my friend.
But how awesome is that? Now, there's reasons. This book is worth, not this particular copy, but in high grades especially, this book is worth a lot of money for 2 reasons. Do you know what those reasons are, Alan?
It has Thor and Silver Surfer on it.
That's just one reason, but that's not the correct reason in either case.
Okay, then no.
It's because this is one of the nicest covers in the history of comic books. John Buscema just knocked this out of the park. This is incredible. And the other reason is when this book was printed and put out, they had issues with it, and a lot of them were beat to death and destroyed. So they're hard to find because there's not as many of them out there as there are of all the other books from that era.
Okay, so do we really and truly want, I mean, yeah, we could go down a real rabbit hole here if we wanted to, but do we really and truly want to say that he put out some of the nicest covers of that era when we've got Jack Kirby from that era also?
We could have that fight. Jack Kirby is amazing. Absolutely. But he's not the only one.
You are correct.
I mean, if you go over to DC and you've got Jim Aparo, for example, holy cow. Jim Apato's Batman is the definitive Batman for me. That guy's artwork is amazing. Neil Adams was doing great stuff back during that time period. But no, I think it's safe to say that's one of the most memorable covers in comic books right there. It's all dependent on taste, so it's not like it's for everybody. But
I mean, are we truly comic book nerds if we don't have anything to argue about?
That's true. I think that being able to argue is one of the key tenets of comic book nerddom.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of arguing, let's go back because we're jumping all over the place. Let's talk about the fact that you have not seen Daredevil yet, the Netflix show.
So, like I said, I'm on episode 6, I believe. All the Russians are dead. So I think that was episode 6. Okay, Charlie Cox as Daredevil the dude is amazing. I never heard of him before this, but I mean, amazing. I'm not a big D'Onofrio fan.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his because my wife absolutely loves Law and Order and watches it 24/7, and I despise everything about that show with every fiber of my being, including the people that have been on it.
Was he on Law and Order? I'm trying to remember.
Or the Criminal Minds. It was not Criminal Minds. Was it Law and Order or was it? Yeah, he was on Law and Order there for a while. Or was he the cop one? Which one was the cop one?
He wasn't on NYPD Blue.
No, he was on one of them that I have to hate. But him as Kingpin and the dynamic that they're already building between him and Vanessa, oh my God, I was blown away. Just the dinner date alone, just before he blew up like half of Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
That entire set of scenes with him and Vanessa sitting there having dinner, drinking wine, him being completely and totally honest was absolutely brilliant. The Shield,
no, the Shield was the guy who played the Thing in the
Chiklis.
Yeah, Chiklis. Yeah, that's him. Criminal Intent. Okay, yeah, I never liked that one. I never did like that one.
Yeah, if it's got Law and Order in it, I'll automatically hate it. And the reason being is I cannot tell y'all how many times at night I've been trying to fall asleep, and all of a sudden from the TV, all I hear is
dun, dun.
And it just my wife and I will fight over that in a heartbeat. I mean, I'm like, you gotta turn that down. I can't take anymore. Can you put it on something? And if you look at Law and Order for what it is, it's been on for like what, 25 years?
At least, yeah.
It's actually the same 4 to 5 episodes retold with different words and different actors for 25 years straight. It's the same story, 4 or 5 storylines. That's all it is.
People love it.
And I don't get it. I mean, I don't get it. Bring back Johnny Quest. People love Johnny Quest. Why haven't we gotten 30, 40 years of Johnny Quest?
Because they didn't love it 30, 40 years worth.
Well, I did.
Well, you get out your checkbook and you fund it.
You know what? Maybe I will one day. As soon as I got that Elon Musk money.
I was going to say, as soon as you got your Elon Musk money. So go back to Daredevil.
Yep.
I thought Daredevil was brilliant in stretches. I think that season 1 was phenomenal. I thought season 2, a large part of season 2, if you closed your eyes, it's not a Daredevil show, it's a Punisher show.
Yeah.
There's one particular scene, which I'm not going to ruin for you, but there's one particular scene where you're going like, what is happening right now? That can't possibly be right. And then you realize that Punisher planned for that. That was what he planned to happen. And you will just, it's incredible.
Now, should I start watching The Punisher at the same time? Because don't all those cross over at some point? Or
absolutely watch Daredevil first,
mm-hmm.
at least through season 2 before you watch Punisher. Karen Page crosses over into the Punisher show and is a perfect fit there.
Mm-hmm.
See, Chris thinks that Karen was the weakest character on Daredevil, and I thought she was brilliant. I loved her.
See,
I thought she was great.
I loved her in True Blood.
I did too.
And so, I mean, I've always wanted to see her do more, so I'm really enjoying her in Daredevil. And The guy that's playing Foggy, I think, is doing a fantastic job.
I hated him to start with, but the second time I went around and watched it, I was like, I really like this guy.
I really and truly, you froze up. Oh, there you go. You're back. The whole him going out drinking with her so she wouldn't have to go alone, and then helping the Spanish lady in the apartment and redoing her pot. That's when I started changing my mind about Foggy. I was like, okay, he's doing a really good job now.
Yeah, he's really, really good, and his character development over the course of the show is very good.
Yeah.
The third season I thought was weaker. It was still good, but it wasn't like, holy cow, that's amazing. Let's just put this out here. Wouldn't you be? You got a friend who's acting like a lunatic, and you have no idea why he's being the way he is, and he's like in a destructive cycle, and you're trying to help. I mean, wouldn't you be upset? I'd be upset.
Depends on is there hush money involved?
Oh my God, Nick,
you have done lost your ever loving mind.
now save your hot takes for your show, brother, because that is wrong, and you know it.
Yeah,
you're just stirring the pot now. Stirring the pot. Now you've read all the Spider-Man, but have you read Daredevil, Nick? I don't know if you're familiar. Have you read the Karen Page story in Daredevil? Because it's very different. But holy Lord, it sounds like what Marvel is, or what Marvel's planning to do with the Disney Plus show, is to go down that road, which surprised me. But
so here's so let's tie this back into She-Hulk for a second. Everybody has seen the trailer. We know that Daredevil shows up with She-Hulk. We know on some level we're getting the yellow and red costume. We just don't know. We don't know how good or bad it's actually going to look. Are they going to start trying to lighten the tone with Daredevil? Because this character, with what Netflix has done with this character, really works on this dark aspect.
It does.
I mean, are they going to Disney-fy this thing?
I suspect they're going to lighten it a little bit, but if they go down the road with the story that they said they're going to do, and they said it's going to be 24 episodes to tell this story, there's not any humor in that story. It is a dark story.
Oh, and back to this Yahoo right here for just a second. If you're throwing hot takes, I am too. It's pronounced manga, not manga. You're in Alabama, buddy. It's manga.
Like Arab.
Like Arab. All drinks are Cokes, no matter what it is.
That's true. In your house, are all tissues Kleenex?
Yep, every single one of them.
Here's a fun one for you. I had to take a leadership class several years ago, and one of the things they talked about in there was like protecting your copyright and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I watch it. AI comes down on you for the manga.
I am the band hammer now.
Don't tell HR, because HR can still get you.
I'm from Atlanta, though. Well, the only thing you really know is a crappy baseball team.
Throwing the shade. That's painful, brother.
But
anyway, so in this class,
I myself after that one.
That was pretty rude.
Yeah.
So in this class that we had to take, and they talked about protecting copyright and stuff, because if you don't defend your copyright, like Disney sends those cease and desist letters out on the regular, and you think, come on, guys, it's just a daycare painting your characters on the wall. Come on, give them a break, right? If you don't defend your copyright, you lose it. For example, did you know that trampoline was a copyrighted name? There were other jumpy things, but trampoline was a brand name. Now trampoline is a noun, and it's not a brand name at all because they didn't defend it and they lost it. So anybody who builds a thing that has a mesh and some springs around a frame can call it a trampoline, and the original copyright holders who invented it, they got no say-so because they didn't defend their copyright.
Wow, I did not know that.
I am full of useless knowledge. Preach, brother. Yes.
See, that's
Yes.
the best thing about being in IT. I don't have to do any of that stuff. People don't want to deal with my people. They leave us alone all day long. They only call us when something's broken and we get to just play with our toys. That's the best thing about IT.
People are afraid of IT because if they tick you off when their computer is hosed up, you're not going to come fix it with any kind of alacrity, shall we say.
So here is my smart aleck, rude, just I cannot believe the IT guy did this. Then I actually did this to someone one time. I got this phone call.
This is my confession.
Yeah, this is my confession. And we're outside of the statute of limitations, so I'm safe. And plus, I no longer work for that company. But someone from the main office, and I can verify this. I can bring people on the show that verify that I did this. Someone from the main office calls me one day because the number pad on their keyboard is not working. And I'm like, okay, did you hit the numlock button? Let's just start there. That happens. They couldn't find the numlock button. I got so frustrated that I told them to hang up and text me a picture of their keyboard. They texted me the picture of the keyboard. I then proceeded to call them back and tell them exactly where the numlock button was. And this was the response. Why doesn't it just say number lock?
Well, there's some limited real estate on those keys, so maybe that's why.
But it was the simple fact that I actually had someone text me a picture of their keyboard so I could tell them what. And this was a person that should be very well versed in typing. Let's just put it like that. Yep. Guess what, though? My phone did not ring for about 2 weeks after that. It was
I bet
great.
not. I bet not. Did you turn it off and turn it back on again? Yeah, that wouldn't help with your numlock problem. That's funny. But yeah, that's the first thing of anybody trying to get something fixed. Oh, yeah, by the way, did you just try to turn it off and turn it on again?
Yeah, see, the developers blame the programmers. The programmers blame IT. IT blames IA. So it's all just a vicious cycle. It
That
really
sounds
is.
right.
And I love it when a programmer has a problem because literally my go-to answer is always no, it's in your code. And that just sends them next level. I've been doing this for 25 years. There's nothing wrong with my code. And I'm like, okay, then why do I see an infinite loop? Shut up. And they just run off. It's great.
That's cruel, but
Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
So jumping back to Daredevil on the Daredevil show on Netflix, right? So I assume if you have not seen Daredevil, then you have not seen any of the Netflix shows. Is that accurate?
Yeah, no, like I said, this was, and literally me watching Daredevil started about a week ago. I was literally, Lily was at dance class and I had nothing to do. And I had already been to the gym and I was like, okay, let's see what Daredevil's all about. And then I watched that first episode and I was sold from there on out. I just could not get enough of it.
I think the Netflix shows succeeded to varying degrees. Uh, if you like the character of Jessica Jones, by golly, you get Jessica Jones. That's who she is. I don't care for the character of Jessica Jones. There's not much redeeming about her. Her personality is unapproachable. Uh, she doesn't want to be approached. She's not sympathetic. They do some things that make her sympathetic eventually, but it's hard to get there. She's a painful character to watch for me. I watched both seasons of the show. It was okay. It was painful to watch. David Tennant as the Purple Man is he was pretty good. That's a horrifying power. It's a terrifying power.
A lot of people told me that he is the only redeeming factor about that show.
A lot of people loved it, and when you meet Luke Cage in that show,
yeah,
and Luke Cage is very well done. The actor who plays him is really good. The show, the Luke Cage show, was pretty good. It wasn't brilliant, but it was pretty good. It was all right. It was all right.
Now, have you seen the little clip that's a few second video that's been going around social media with Oscar Isaac and the guy that directed Moon Knight?
No, I have not.
I think they're on a boat or something, and I think there's a pyramid or something in the background, or they're somewhere you get like a little bit of a town or something. And somebody posted the question of, will there be a season 2? And the it's actually only showing the director, and the little cell phone camera pans around, and Oscar Isaac is standing there, and he goes, "Why else do you think we would be in Egypt?" So apparently, supposedly, going based off that, we're getting a season 2, and they're already getting ready to start.
I would love to see another season, a movie, whatever. I thought that was really, really good.
I would. Okay, so let me be honest about something for a second. When he was first cast as Moon Knight, the first thing I thought was Poe Dameron is not Moon Knight. I went into it I still tried to go into it with an open mind. Seeing the way Oscar Isaac portrayed the personalities of Mark Spector and Stephen Grant, even though to me that wasn't our Stephen Grant, that's really not our Stephen Grant. He won me over. That Moon Knight, Oscar Isaac won me over 100% with his acting ability. Just the way he was able to jump back and forth and actually separate the personalities was great.
I agree. He's a really good actor. His ability to convey the characters that he did. I think they pooped on Steven. I don't think so. I think it was really brilliant of them to come at the story the way they did through the eyes of Steven, because that's a surprise for longtime fans, and for people who have never seen it, they didn't know any different anyway. So they're like, all right, who is this lunatic and what's going on with him? This poor guy, because he came in not as I am the hero, I'm here to save the day, and so he was automatically sympathetic. You're like, oh my God, this poor man has got all kind of issues. How do you? I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
And then you get to go through the other cycles with him, and I thought he was brilliant. I thought their whole approach was really brilliant.
If anybody's reading the current comic run, that is one of the few Marvel comics that I read.
So good.
You're going to understand exactly what I'm saying. If Steven truly was the Mr. Knight persona, the way he was dressed up, to me, they kind of pooped on Mr. Knight.
I'll agree with that. Mr. Knight, they pooped on.
He is supposed to be smooth, suave, calm, cool, collected. He shouldn't be blocking a punch going, oh, cool. He should be getting in there and just hammering some folks out and then adjusting his tie and sitting down and having a nice glass of wine or a cup of coffee,
Did you read the previous series where they kind of restarted from the legacy numbering with number 188? Did you read that one?
They went in with Sun King and all that.
Yes.
It got really weird there.
Yeah. It got really weird. But do you remember the issue where they sat down at the dinner table for that big dinner?
Yep.
That was awesome.
This last issue where they have the meeting, have you read that yet?
Yes.
Oh my God. It was same level as far as I was concerned. It was just great.
Kyle says Jessica Jones and Luke Cage lost me. I get that. They were very different. Jessica Jones was unrelentingly dark, and that was painful to watch. Luke Cage was really more about his neighborhood and really trying to help his neighborhood. I thought I liked it, but I didn't love it. I thought Misty Knight was really cool in the Luke Cage show. The one that everybody just absolutely universally pukes on is Iron Fist. And they all complain that the actor is terrible. I'm going to go out and say that is 100% patently false. The actor, when you first meet him, and he's kind of that laid back Zen dude running around with no shoes in Central Park, you like him. You think he is cool. he was able to be a character that you liked and that you wanted. What they did was they turned him over the course of the show into a whiny baby. That was not the actor's fault. He didn't write that. He didn't direct that. He did what they told him to do. But they turned him into a whiner. And for some reason, he couldn't fight half the time. Like, oh no, I lost my mojo. Like, come on, man. You just need to pull it together and fight. Uh, that wasn't the actor's fault. But people give that actor grief, and that's a real shame.
I don't know a lot about Iron Fist anyway. He was never a character that I got into. So if I watch it, whatever's not comic accurate, it's going to be completely lost on me.
I would recommend watching it. I wouldn't. I mean, just don't get too caught up on the hate that you've got. I know you've heard people talk about it. Just go into it with an open mind.
Yeah.
I, for one, I love characters like Iron Fist, characters where they've shown have a history, like Moon Knight, where there have been iterations of this character through time.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Maybe it's because I read The Phantom in the Sunday paper when I was a kid, right? Because the Phantom, it was his family over time, and they just assumed the role of the Phantom. So people thought it was the same dude around for hundreds of years. I love that in a character that has that kind of history to it.
Yeah.
I love the possibility of telling stories from different eras, right? If I can just tell stories from, feudal Japan or colonial England, Jack the Ripper time period, if I can tell stories from the French Revolution, whatever, if I can tell stories that just kind of pop up in these different eras, and I can go back and revisit those as the story unfolds. I like the idea of a meta plot that carries through a series, but is told with these chunks of stories from other places and times. I am a sucker for that if it's done even remotely well. Yeah. And Iron Fist has that. He didn't start with that, but they introduced that over time into the character that he's just the current iteration.
They should make Peter Parker a Viking. No, honestly, what they should do with Peter Parker, they need to stop with all the child crap, and they need to make a movie, either Renew Your Vows miniseries, or they need to, if we're not going to go that route, at least in Renew Your Vows, he was an adult. He had a kid. He had a wife. They were happy until what happened, but they still ended up being a happy family. Even though at the end, when he finally makes his big comeback and everything, I mean, that was the Peter Parker that I've always wanted. That 6-issue miniseries? The tag-along series that ran after that was whatever. But that 6-issue miniseries, Nick, if you have not read it, you've got to read it. It is the best Peter Parker, Mary Jane, Spider-Man comic book that has come, a story that has come out since before Clone Saga. Absolutely fantastic. And being a father, you will love that story even more. Honestly, at this point, there's no telling what they're make Peter Parker a Viking. Well, I mean, they've done everything else to him, so why not?
Well, speaking of weird eras, I don't know if you guys saw, but 1602 #1. The Neil Gaiman story from several years back that was like the Marvel Universe, but set in 1602.
Yep.
That one is heating up because there is speculation that the Peter Parker Spider-Man character from that book is going to show up in Spider-Verse.
Peter Parker?
That it was Parker, but it was spelled funny. It was like a French spelling. It was weird.
And, that actually leads to something else. That's going to lead to the spec collectors driving the price of that book just absolutely insane based off of a rumor.
Well, that's what spec collecting is.
Yeah, I don't... I mean, for the people that are actually watching, if you're offended by this comment, you do you. You collect your way. Pull the Two Brothers, collect your way. I don't get spec collecting. I think it's the dumbest thing ever. And here's a really good example of reason why I think it's dumb. just a few short years ago, you could buy a really not, and when I say a few short years ago, I'm talking 3 or 4 years ago, you could buy a really nice high grade raw copy of Thor 337 for anywhere from 50 to $70, depending on how much you talk to him. And Nick, get ready to be thoroughly offended. When are we going to get our Two Brothers acetate cover? But now, based off of a rumor that Beta Ray Bill might show up in a Thor movie, that book jumps from $70 to a couple of hundred overnight. You know, same thing with She-Hulk. Just a few years ago, you could buy She-Hulk at a relatively decent price.
You could get those She-Hulk books out of the dollar bins.
Yeah, I mean, what She-Hulk 1 graded, we were looking at what, $300 or $400 just a few years ago.
Yep.
And then it literally She-Hulk's getting her own TV show. Spec collectors go wild, and it's up over 2,000.
I sold August of 2020, I believe it was, somewhere thereabouts. I sold a She-Hulk, a Savage She-Hulk, the original first appearance of She-Hulk, number 1, 9.8, newsstand copy for $2,000 even. Almost 2 years ago.
And literally based off of them getting their own TV show, I mean, we didn't get that stuff. You didn't see Fantastic Four books shooting through the roof when that movie came out in the 90s or early 2000s, did you?
That's because people knew it was going to be garbage.
Oh, please. That was like the definitive Fantastic Four movie. You know you love that.
I hated it.
You know,
I hated it so bad. I couldn't stand the guy playing Reed Richards. He physically makes me want to punch him in the face. And the whole approach to Dr. Doom, I just despised.
Chris Evans as the Human Torch was amazing, and you know it.
Yeah, I can't argue that. I just said off the things that I didn't like, but they were kind of big things.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Those are now they had such a great actor to play Dr. Doom, they just destroyed the character himself.
And then the second time they made a Fantastic Four movie, they went down the Ultimate Fantastic Four route, right? And they got the first 2/3 of it were pretty cool. And I'm like, all right, I'm digging this. And then they got to, we don't know what to do with this. And like, well, you tell a story, you start it, you have a middle, and then you end it. And they're like, we don't know what to do past this whole starting thing. We got to the middle and we started to get a little rocky. We got to the end and we had no idea what to do.
Yep.
That was terrible because it started with so much promise and then it just went off the rails.
The only thing that I liked about the second one was I thought they did a really, really, really good job in how they portrayed the Silver Surfer. I thought they.
I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the second go around of the first movie.
Oh, yeah, that hot piece of dumpster fire that thing.
The one that started down the Ultimate Fantastic Four path, where they were younger, they were kids in the fancy school.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, no, the Rise of the Silver Surfer.
I like the way they portrayed Silver Surfer. I thought they did a good job with that. It just as far as the way he looked, the tone of voice, everything. I thought Lawrence Fishburne did a great job with the tone of voice and all that. But other than that, it was kind of, okay, whatever. Okay, we got Doom Surfer now. Big damn deal. Let's just move on. Let's scrap this and wait for somebody else to reboot it in a few years. But then we get it rebooted in a few years, and it's 10 times worse than what we got.
Yep. Now, I know we've talked about this before, but I think if they approach the Fantastic Four movie the right way, it's going to be brilliant. And if they don't, it's going to be terrible. The Fantastic Four, they're not superheroes. They are a family of explorers and scientists, right? That's what they are. And if you make them that, it's going to be great. If you don't, then you've already lost it. You've already gone down the wrong path, and it's not going to work.
Fantastic Four is one, and I didn't read a ton of Fantastic Four books. I mean, I know enough that I can, I know what's going on.
He doesn't have more equity with you than that. Come on, bro.
The thing about Fantastic Four is you don't need to change anything. Like you said, it's a family of explorers and scientists. There is no need to modernize or update. You can literally pull an arc out of anywhere in Fantastic Four and turn that arc into a story and turn it into a movie, and you're going to have a really good movie. I mean, they're the source material they have for Fantastic Four, just like the source material they have with Daredevil. And if you go back to some of the original source material that they have with Amazing Spider-Man, they don't need to change anything. Just make those movies. But they're going to change something. They're going to have to modernize.
I hope to goodness that they stay far, far away from Doctor Doom. Initially, at least, I would love to see them, uh, go through the negative zone, run into Annihilus, run into Terrax or Blastar or somebody,
Mm-hmm.
somebody else, somebody just defending their own territory from these interlopers who just showed up. I think that could be amazing. Um, and I would love to see it if the resolution to that was not ginormous fight scene, right?
Yeah.
If Reed uses his big old brain to figure something out. I would much rather see something creative there as a resolution than I hit you more times than you hit me, therefore good guys win.
Yep. Now, something that I would like to see, and it's a little bit of a cop out. I think it's a little bit too easy, but they're going to kind of have to give us a cop out at this point. Is when they do introduce X-Men, let's not start at the beginning. Let's start somewhere in the middle of their history, and you could very easily explain that the reason why we haven't seen them up until now is because they've been trapped in the Savage Land. Now, I think because you would get a little bit of the Savage Land, you would get a little bit of that stuff, and then we could go from there.
I'm interested to hear more about that. I mean, what needs to change from Superman's perspective? Uh, are you talking modernizing stuff, as in, the government would have seen a something crash to Earth, and they would send people out to investigate? Because they certainly wouldn't have done that in the 30s. They would have had no way of seeing that. Are you talking about things like that? Little details like that absolutely change, but the nature of the characters themselves, do those need to change? I don't think so. I think there's a reason that those characters have stuck in the consciousness of the collective consciousness of society, is because they identify with that and they hold the ideals, and that's what we believe in, and that's what we want to see emulated. Um, so I'm really curious about that.
Now, okay, so his next comment here. The thing about that, I see that. I mean, I can appreciate that. I think that that's actually a better explanation for Doomsday than what Doomsday ended up turning into over the years through various stories. But to me, the best thing about Doomsday was the fact that we had no explanation. We knew absolutely nothing when he first showed up. It was just a beast in a containment suit that was hell-bent on destroying Superman. And if you actually go back to the comic, which, I did kind of reread it a few weeks ago, The Death of Superman, because we are right there on the anniversary.
Yep, we'll talk about that in just a second.
So I think what a lot of people don't realize is the reason why Doomsday actually went to Metropolis was because he was in another city and he tore up a Lexmark, and on a TV screen, he saw a wrestler of all things screaming about the ultimate battle in Metropolis that they were going to have this weekend, all this other. He saw a wrestling promo. Doomsday is nothing more than a raging idiot that wants to fight. That's all Doomsday. We never needed any type of explanation. We never needed anything. To me, that's why Doomsday was so perfect when he first came out. But now, all these years later, he's a failed experiment. I even saw something.
He's Stitch.
Yeah, he's Stitch.
He's Stitch. He's a great big ugly Stitch.
Yeah, some things I wish that they would just leave it alone. I mean, just leave what we originally had, because 9 times out of 10, what we originally had if there's like changes that need to be made and kind of modernized and updated to make it relevant to the time, make those changes. but the actual core of the story, there's a reason why it went over so well all those years ago. It was because it was amazing. I mean,
Well,
it was a great
that's
story.
what was so successful with the early Marvel movies, right? They modernized them, but they didn't change the core of the character.
Exactly.
Yeah. Um, but speaking of Superman and the 30th anniversary, we are coming up rapidly on the 30th anniversary of the death of Superman. Um, and one of the things that I thought was really cool that DC has done is they have gone out and they've gotten the original team from the death of Superman, Dan Jurgens, all those guys,
Yep.
and they have them doing this 30th anniversary book. Um, so the original team is coming back and doing this new book, and I thought that was a really classy move on DC's part. I thought that was really cool. Um,
Was it?
he was just taking a really long nap in the dirt.
Yeah, he was in the equivalent of a tanning bed for Kryptonians. Wasn't did I misunderstand it? Is it a new book or is it like a new, almost like collected works, like short stories that they were doing?
From what I understand, it's both.
Okay, cool.
It's both. Yeah, there's some revisiting anniversary edition stuff, and there's also new material.
There's only one thing they could completely and totally cut out of that story, and that should be the War Worlders, Underworlder, whatever that little beginning story that they actually started out with was. Yeah, that nobody cared about that. Let's just cut that out and let's just jump straight into it.
Yeah, that wasn't even a good framing device to start things off. That was just a, what am I reading?
Yeah, it was like, what? No, this is bad. Stop. It's like squirting a cat in the face with the water with the water spray when they do something bad. It's like, no, quit. Let's go on with the story.
How'd that go again?
You know when the cat does something you don't want the cat to do, you got to in that thing.
We need a little gif of that. That's what we need. It's just Alan. Stop it, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting that up on the screen. Stop it, Nick.
You know what? It doesn't have to go up on the screen, but Nick, I agree with you 100%.
That is not right. That is not right.
Now, but back to She-Hulk real quick.
Yeah.
One thing that I definitely liked about it, I think was very well done, was you got a very quick, concise origin story. And it was compacted, but there was not a ton of fluff. It was like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what happened. This is where we're at. Let's go. And I thought that was really smart on their part to do it that way.
I thought the way they did that and the way that they illustrated the differences between She-Hulk and Hulk, I thought that was really clever. It sped things up, it moved things along, and I thought it was really well done. I like that.
Yeah.
I saw a rumor the other day that one of the reasons Marvel has not made a new Hulk movie is that Universal has got some distribution rights or something tangled up in it, and that they should finally be getting those back in 2024 or 2023, and that we might expect a Hulk movie, a standalone Hulk movie in 2024. Which I would like to see, but I would love to see something darker, more like Immortal Hulk. I would love to see that.
I know that everybody loves Mark Ruffalo, or how do you say his last name?
Ruffalo, yeah. Buffalo.
Love to see Edward Norton come back for another movie. I thought he was brilliant in the first one.
Oh, I absolutely agree. The problem with Edward Norton is apparently he is extraordinarily difficult to work with. And they were like, you know what?
But
there's the door.
The beautiful thing about that is that's not our problem. That's theirs to deal with. Just give us the product.
They dealt with it by getting rid of him and bringing in Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
I love Ed Norton, though. I think he's an incredible actor. You go back and you watch him in things like Rounders.
Yep.
Holy cow. Fight Club. Oh God, have you seen Primal Fear?
Is that the one? Is that the one where he's like a security guard or something, or a janitor?
No, well, I don't know. He might have been janitor. in Primal Fear, it's a Richard Gere movie. Richard Gere is a powerful lawyer.
Oh no, that's not the one I'm thinking of.
He's a big shot lawyer, and there's video of this young teenage kid who killed, I think, a bunch of people, at least one person. And you're like, what's going on? Because he ends up taking this case pro bono, and the acting job that Edward Norton does in that movie,
Yep.
he should have won like all the awards. It was off the chain amazing. I could not recommend that movie to you enough. Primal Fear. You should watch it.
I cannot think of there was one particular movie that he did that I'm thinking of. It was probably one of those off the wall movies that went absolutely nowhere. And now something else, and we can let the hate flow. And if this makes anybody mad, send all your angry emails to nick@twobrothers.com. I'm not a big enough Hulk fan to say for another movie. I mean, honestly, I think Hulk is really and truly a supporting character at this point. I don't think
that's just because they haven't got a good story, man. You give him a good story, and he is off to the races.
But the way that they're starting to water some of this down and make it, I hate to say kid friendly, but that's kind of the way it's coming across. It's like it's being a little more cartoonish, a little more comedic and happy and stuff. Does it really and truly justify another Hulk? I mean, are we going to see, is the CGI, is it going to go from CGI to 2D at this point? I mean,
well, like I said, I want to see a darker movie, more like Immortal Hulk or something, Return of the Monster, the Bruce Jones Return of the Monster. Hulk from the early 2000s, man, that was powerful. Hulk works better as a horror figure. And the Ed Norton movie really worked well because that movie was more of a Beauty and the Beast story between him and Betty. And you notice in that movie the way that they just showed his origin in the opening credits. I thought his origin was really well done because it borrowed from the TV show.
Yeah.
It wasn't, oh, I got to go save Rick Jones from the Gamma Bomb. It was the TV show where he did it himself. But that was the only time they explored his origin at all, was in that super quick telling at the beginning in the opening credits of that movie.
Yeah, I liked I thought that was great. And then there was after the first time that you really see him turn when he was in South America or wherever.
Yes.
And then you saw him kind of leaned up against something with his hand out for like he was begging, and you heard the music from the TV show at that point.
Yep.
And then and then when one of the kids that was filming it, the fight between Hulk and the government on the open field at the college campus.
Yep.
Somebody made they called him by his name, and his last name was McGee. I thought having those three things in the movie, I thought was great. I mean, I loved it. That was like a callback to my childhood.
Now, I'm assuming, Kyle, that you're talking about the 2008, 2009 Ed Norton MCU movie, because the Ang Lee movie also came out in the 2000s, and that was a train wreck of epic proportions. I hated, loathed, despised, reject, and abominate that movie with every fiber of my being. I wanted to like it so much, but when you had the giant cartoon pink poodle, and then for some reason the absorbing man is his dad, are you kidding me?
And then I was so confused by the time that movie was over with. I was just like, okay, I'm never having anything to do with this film again. They can make 100 sequels, and I'm not going to do it. And
no, it was atrocious.
The thing about it is Eric Bana is actually a very, very good actor.
Yeah,
but it was
and not a bad choice for Bruce Banner either.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of those that the actor could do nothing except what they were told to do. That's why that movie failed.
Yep, I 100% agree. That was a travesty, that film was. Good Lord. So jumping real quick, just to get some opinion here, what is your favorite of the MCU shows that have come out on Disney+?
My favorite, believe it or not, I'm going with WandaVision. I absolutely love
I get that.
I absolutely love WandaVision. One that I think kind of gets overlooked, but the ending kind of started losing me some. But I love the way that they did the whole buddy cop thing between Falcon and Winter Soldier and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I thought that was very well done.
I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I thought it was just it didn't taste new. It was like ice cream. I know I like vanilla ice cream,
Yeah,
but it was just like more vanilla ice cream.
yeah. The
It wasn't exciting to
WandaVision,
me.
WandaVision is definitely top of the list. That's the best one they've done so far. Moon Knight is a strong second, and then beyond that, I'm just kind of it's a toss up.
I thought Miss Marvel was brilliant.
You know,
I loved
I
Miss
still have
Marvel.
not watched Miss Marvel.
I think you'll change your mind once you watch it. Miss Marvel, that feeling you were talking about in Renew Your Vows, where you've got a family that's happy and all that stuff.
Yep.
Hey, Kyle, thanks, man. You have a great night. And yeah, hit the like button if you haven't, because it
Yep.
will hurt our feelings if you don't.
Night, Kyle. Have a good one.
But like you were talking about in Renew Your Vows, where you got this family dynamic where you're able to be happy.
Yep.
Miss Marvel does that beautifully, absolutely beautifully. The dynamic that comes through, it's a fun show. It leaves you with a smile on your face. It's fantastic. I strongly, strongly recommend it. I think you'll love it.
I think part of my problem right now with some of the Marvel stuff is I was really disappointed in Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. The only thing that I liked about that movie was Scarlet Witch. She was amazing every scene she was in. She stole every scene she was in. But to me, that should have never been a Doctor Strange movie. It should have been a Scarlet Witch movie, and he was the supporting character. I was so disappointed in it, and it was not that there's anything wrong with it, but I've seen Sam Raimi movies in the '90s. I don't need to see a '90s Sam Raimi movie in 2022.
Well, he made one.
Yeah, I mean, and now um, Bruce Campbell.
Yep.
The man is like gold. I mean, he will. It's literally Ash. I mean, it's he will always be Ash from Evil Dead to me. It will always be Hell to the King, baby. As far as I'm concerned, seeing him in it, that was nice. But other than that, it was kind of whatever. It's
The
a
whole
kid.
show Burn Notice is worth watching because he's in it.
Yeah. Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it was nice seeing him, but yeah, it's they taken a turn toward kids franchises now.
Did you know that the guy who played the Rocketeer in the '90s movie was Bruce Campbell's son?
Billy Campbell?
Yeah,
No, I didn't know that was his son.
yeah, that's his son. That's Bruce Campbell's son in the
He
Rocketeer.
must have got his looks from his mama because that's a good looking kid. I
True
mean,
that.
he was a good looking kid, and I really enjoyed the Rocketeer from the
I
90s.
loved that movie. The only quibble I had with it was that they borrowed that one bad guy straight out of uh, the. It's like they had him left over from the Dick Tracy movie.
Oh
So
yeah,
they just brought him over here, and he was this goofy looking cartoon character. I'm like, none of the other characters look stupid and goofy like this. Why did you feel the need to do that with this guy? Use a real human person. Instead, they used a cartoon character for the one bad guy, and I hated that guy. But everything else I thought was brilliant, dude. If Bruce Campbell would come to the expo, he would have a line out the door.
we need Jeremy on the show one night so I can badger him about an exclusive or announcing a guest on the show. And I still need to get that social media influencer line cut deal.
Oh, that's true. You do definitely need that, but you have to have acetate covers for that. For
You know
anybody
what?
who's listening, I know there's probably like three of you who haven't heard about this. Uh, there's a company who took uh, facsimile editions of Ultimate Fallout #4, the first appearance of Miles Morales. They took facsimile editions of that, so it's already a reprint. They had a whole bunch left over apparently that they didn't sell, so they commissioned an artist, I believe it was Clayton Crane, to draw a cover that they would on acetate that they would staple to the book So instead of Miles standing there holding the Spider-Man mask, he's now holding a folded up American flag, and they've got Captain America's face on there and Thor's face on there, and it's all these like kind of things. Does it look good? Yeah, it looks good, but they're selling it as a Ultimate Fallout 4 variant when it's not. It is a facsimile edition that they've stapled an acetate cover to. And what's worse is that CGC is grading it as a variant and giving it a blue label like it's a legitimate book, and it's just not.
Now, I've got a question on that. Technically, with that acetate cover, it has an additional staple in it, correct?
2 additional staples.
So, according to the way books are graded,
should have 4 holes that it doesn't or that don't belong.
So shouldn't that like drastically knock the grade like down massive amounts?
It should, but they're not doing that.
So CGC is going against their own rules at this point.
Yes, they are.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
My Web of Spider-Man back and demand a regrade.
There you go. Apparently, these extra holes are perfectly legitimate for you.
Exactly.
Please regrade this accordingly. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is. It's a bad look. CBCS, of course, jumped on it like a duck on a June bug and released a statement that any aftermarket changes to a cover are going to result in downgrades, and they will be acknowledged as aftermarket changes, not as legitimate copies of the book. And yeah, Keith is right. Not only are they grading it with a blue label and saying it's a variant, but they're also giving out a ton of 9, 9s, and 10s. Like, really? What are you doing?
I know people. There's a lot of people out there that they're just tore up over CGC graded, CGC graded, CGC graded. CBCS, for my money, they've got the better cases. They're just, I like their cases more.
Their new cases, I like CBCS's new cases more. Their old cases were bad.
Their new cases are great. I understand the whole gripe about people don't like the label. Nick, read Daredevil. But the big thing about the label is I'm not having it graded for the label. I want it graded for the grade itself and the case. I want to preserve it. And I just, I think that CBCS does a 10 times better job with the cases than CGC.
Yeah, customer service for both organizations is not what it should be. I will say that.
Yep.
I will say that.
I will be honest. I've had good luck with CBCS. I mean, I've only sent 2 books to them, but I've had good luck as far as customer service is concerned. I know I've got a couple of books out now that we're still waiting to get back, but it is what it is. At this point, you get them back when you get them back.
I got some books back a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And I was really excited about it because Larry was bringing them over to me, and they weren't for me. They were customer books that we submitted. So my FF10 and my FF50, which they've had now for 13 months and 12 months respectively, are still sitting there. I'm like, it's been over a year, guys. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's and what gets me is it was CGC, and I don't know how true this is. I'm going to throw this out there with a caveat. This could be a complete and total lie. I might be stepping out. But I had heard that CGC spends an average of 7 to 12 minutes grading a book. If you're only spending 7 to 12 seconds grading a book.
Yes.
If you're only spending 7 to 12 seconds grading a book, why are you not cranking these bad boys out even faster? We shouldn't be waiting a year to get it back.
They have so many.
Don't get me started on my thoughts and feelings.
That's funny. Well, now that we've dipped into the dark well of CGC, that's probably a good place to end for the night, unless you got anything else you want to talk about.
Once again, do not buy Ouija boards at yard sales. It will end badly.
That's a guarantee. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. Uh, One thing we should talk about here real quick is a couple of weeks from now, Dragon Con is coming up, and everybody's going to be flocking over to Atlanta, and it's going to be sad here in Huntsville. Uh, so for anybody who is not flocking over to Atlanta, we just want you to know we are going to be having, and we'll be making some announcements about this soon, but we will be having our Dragon Consolation event for all the people who could not go to Dragon Con. It's a sad day, but our Dragon Consolation event will be coming up, and we'll be making some announcements about who we're going to be partnering with this year and all that stuff here pretty soon. So, sad dragon, but we're going to try and make it as cool and fun in Huntsville as we can over Labor Day weekend, so that you don't have to be too sad that you didn't get to make it out to Dragon Con.
We need to get a Dunkin' booth and put in the parking lot, and we put Nick from Two Brothers in the Dunkin' booth.
I'm beginning to like this idea.
And all the money goes to charity. And
that's actually a really good idea.
And everybody can pay him back for all the hot takes that they don't agree with. And I'll even go as far as, if Nick is willing to do it, I will swap out with him and they can choose who they attempt to dunk.
You know, that's not bad. I like that, and I think we should do that. Nick, I believe the gauntlet has been thrown, sir. You willing to get dunked for charity? All day long?
Yeah, all day long. Or we can even, it doesn't even have to be all day long. We can do like certain segments of it.
Bye. See y'all. Adios.
Love you, boo-boo.
That's funny. So now that we've thrown down the gauntlet for Nick, we will let everybody go for the night so that y'all can harass him. Again, that's Nick at Two Brothers Comics. If you feel any need to send him harassing email about jumping in a dunking booth for charity. Anything else that you want to say before we drop for the evening?
Nope. Go Nick. Let's dunk Nick.
All right, we're going to play this for old time's sake and because it makes me happy.